Yeah, very similar to Riesling. I think the style of Chardonnay is dictated by the season, the winemaker, the person who grew the fruit, and the site itself and where that Chardonnay came from. Over the last 12 years, I've made Chardonnay from all over Ontario, including Prince Edward County, and I think it is a very, it transfers the site and the terroir very well, Chardonnay. It transfers the season very well from fruit to glass. So that's where winemakers can either decide to harness that natural terroir and bottle it, whether it's unoaked or very gently oaked. A lot of Chardonnay is used to make sparkling wine and sparkling base wine in Niagara and Ontario. So a lot of winemakers have an ability to really play with style with Chardonnay. Some go for a lower alcohol, very fresh, very bone dry style with a lot of acidity, maybe done all in stainless steel. Some winemakers are playing with oak and everything from stirring up the lees and trying to create tons of texture. Chardonnay can also come in from anywhere between 11% alcohol up to 14.5% alcohol. So that alone dictates style dramatically. I think Chardonnay is they always call it the winemaker's grape because you really see the influence of the winemaker in those wines, arguably more so than you do in Riesling or even Sauvignon Blancs or other aromatic varietals. And Chardonnay comes in, there's a lot of different plantings in Ontario, and some date back to the 70s. There's some very new plantings. You can have different clones of Chardonnay, much like any other varietal, but you can have these Musqué clones that are very aromatic, almost like a Gewürz-like quality to Chardonnay, or some of the more heritage clones that are grown in Niagara. We don't even know what they are, but they have a much more neutral aromatic to them. So again, it just really comes down to the season, whether it was a hot or cool year, and that usually dictates how much acid is in the wine and how much alcohol is in the wine, and also if you're using oak or not using oak, and again the site and where that fruit was grown and what age of the planting, what clone is in the vineyard. So there's really a lot of elements at play when we come to determine the style of Chardonnay. But I would say the overlying factor with Chardonnay in Niagara is that we are making cool climate, classically styled wines typically, and that usually means to me that there's more acidity in the wines and there's a little bit lighter on the alcohol side. And I think we're trying to get away from heavily oaked wines as a whole, and this is, I think, globally we're trying to get away from that, because the idea is that you really want to showcase all that hard work you do in the vineyard and showcase the fruit rather than masking it with oak or high alcohol and things like that. So yeah, it really truly is the winemaker's grape, because you can have a lot of elements to play with, and you can dictate what the style will be ultimately.